Hey everyone, and welcome back to week 9. This week we're going to be talking about citations and citation mining, or citation chaining, it is also known as. So, as usual, we'll be talking about what we're going to cover today. So, again, talking about citations and citation styles, and this is one of my longer kind of slide decks. It's about 30 slides, so bear with me. I'll try to make it as painless as possible, but there's a lot of useful examples in it. We'll discuss MLA, APA, and Chicago-style citations, as well as how to identify sources in citations and talk about where you can go to get help with citations, and then we'll move into talking about citations and citation chaining. So, a brief little introduction about citations. Sorry, don't know why Microsoft has to do that. In academic writing, the most common publication styles are APA, MLA, and Chicago style. Each academic discipline has a preferred style, as do individual publications. When you are writing a paper for class, your instructor will indicate which citation style they prefer, and it will most likely be based on their academic discipline. And if you're writing for publication, the journal, publisher, or editor will also tell you what style you should use. So, you can see here that there are many disciplines, many citation styles. I have a list of most of the citation styles out there. I'm not going to read each one, but there's just so you know, there's a citation style for just about anything, and they're all formatted a bit differently, so it's good to be aware of what's out there. So the first primary citation style that we're going to talk about today is MLA. And I have a quote here that says, "Humanities disciplines commonly use MLA style, which includes both in-text citations and a works cited list at the end of the paper. With in-text citations, the author offers some information about the source immediately after the quotation and includes a complete listing in the works cited. The humanities tend to focus on comparing and contrasting the works of different authors and how their writing influences one another. Therefore, MLA citations emphasize the author's name and the page number of the quotation in the original text, helping scholars locate the information easily for further review." Next, we have APA, and another quotation about APA. So, like MLA, APA style uses in-text citations as well as a listing at the end simply called references. You'll find APA primarily in the social sciences, which favor APA's emphasis on the year that a source was published. Although the author's name is also important in APA, the year tells readers how current the information is and how research has evolved over time. And then finally, Chicago style. So Chicago style permits the writer to use either footnotes at the bottom of the page or in-text citations. It also allows writers to focus on either the page number or the year of publication in citations, depending on the intended purpose of the quotation or research. Historical research benefits from Chicago's use of footnotes, enabling writers to avoid lengthy parenthetical information that could distract from the evidence at hand. Instead, readers can focus on the text and consult the footnotes if they want to seek out further information. Chicago style also calls for a listing of captions at the end, known as a bibliography. So why does this matter to us? First, understanding the basic ingredients of citations will help you keep a record of your sources to use for any citation style. You are likely to be required to use more than one citation style over the course of your education and career. Second, it's important to give credit to the people whose ideas and work you are using. In other words, don't plagiarize. And finally, if a reader wants to learn more about a particular part of a book or paper, the citation will lead them to the original document, which they can read. And of course, references are a good place to look for more sources for your own research too. And understanding the different styles is also important, I think, as I've mentioned, because you can see that different citation styles place different emphasis on publication or author or flexibility in what you can use, and that's really reflected in academic disciplines. So I am going to have you, we're not going to watch, but you're going to watch a video from Laurentian Library, and it's a bit old, so the production isn't the greatest, but it gets the point across well, and it's about identifying the types of items that are being cited in bibliographies. And it can help you think about identifying different sources from their citations. And this is important so you can use the citation to mine for more sources. So I'll have the link to the video on the Canvas module. So pause here, watch the video, and then come back when you're finished. So by this point, you should have watched the video that I talked about in the last slide, and we're just going to go over kind of identifying different types of sources. So when you're identifying a book references usually have a title, usually in italic font, the name of authors and or editors, and sometimes other contributors such as translators or illustrators, the publisher, the place of publication, and the date. And here is an example of a book citation. Now, when you're looking at book chapters, they look a little bit different. So book chapters will have the title of the chapter, the author or authors of the chapter, the title of the book, again, usually in italic font, the name of the editor or editors, the pages of the chapter, the publisher, place of publication, and the publication date. And it's important to note that the word in, highlighted in red here, is usually your clue that it's a book chapter and not a journal article. Now, when we're talking about identifying periodicals, which are magazines, journals, or newspapers, periodical citations will have author or authors, date of publication, title of article, title of periodical, usually in italic font, numbers for the volume, and sometimes the issue of the publication, as well as page numbers of the article. And again, here's an example of a periodical article. You can see authors, year, title of the article, journal, issue number, and pages. So DOIs in article citations. So journal article citations might also include a DOI, which is a digital object identifier number. Now this number serves as a permanent web address for a document. And for example, you can go to the document by adding the DOI number to the end of the following URL, which is this little URL here. And here's an example of what the DOI looks like in a citation. And it's just another way of identifying things. Excuse me. So moving on to identifying sources, identifying websites. So citations for websites will vary depending on whether the site is referenced or you're just looking at an article on the site and how much information is provided on the site. And again, the format is a little bit different in different citation styles. So these examples are just general components of what go into a citation for these different types of items. They're not specific to a certain citation style. So for a website, you're going to want to look for the author, date, title, and possibly the title of the site that is hosting the item or article. You should always include the URL of the site. Chicago Style doesn't require this, but most editors and publishers do. And you'll often see the date that the item was accessed. This is when the author citing the article viewed it online. And it's important because web documents and URLs change over time and the changes are not recorded. So you're basically recording what the URL was when you looked at it. So just kind of continuing on with examples of what websites look like. You can see the title of in this first example, the title of the web page or article on the website, the host, where it's coming from, the date it was published, and a link to the website. And same here as well. This has an example of the access date. So where do you go if you need help with citations? Obviously, you can come to me or any other librarian or a reference chat. But another well-known source that you can go to on your own is Purdue University. They have an online writing center. You've probably heard it as Purdue OWL. It's pretty popular among most university instructors and professors. And here you can get accurate information about APA, MLA, and Chicago Style with lots of clear instructions and examples. The Writing Center here on campus can also help you with citations and publication styles as well. And again, of course, the library has books and reference in our reference section for each of these different publication styles as well. And this is our reference for this slide. So Now we're kind of moving on to the part 2 of this lecture, which is all about citation mining. So, one of the best ways to find good information is to look at the reference lists in the good sources you already have. And this technique is known as citation mining or citation chaining. So you're going to look at the citations closely to identify what types of items are cited, and then you'll know how to find it. And we know that citations in the reference list can identify many different types of sources like books, book chapters, websites, journal articles, videos, and more. So we're going to spend some time talking about how to actually track down sources. So as you read scholarly material, you will see in-text citations often in parentheses, letting you know that the authors are citing works of other scholars. You can see this to the quote to the right and this quote over here, which it comes from page 167 of a work by Gilchrist and Zald, published in 2008. And when we look at the reference list on the next slide, you will find the complete citation for the quote. So you can see that this quote was in another book. So again, at the end of academic book chapters and at the end of scholarly articles, there's usually a list of the works cited, which is known as a bibliography or reference list. And this is what they look like. And you can see here that that quote from the previous slide was featured in a book. So, what do you do if you find something and you want to read the whole thing? So this is what, we're just going to go kind of like a brief overview of what you need to do. So since we know that previous quote, this citation is a book, we kind of have a starting place. So we're going to start by looking for the book in the Search It catalog to see if WSU owns a copy. So first you're going to sign in to WSU Search It and do a search in the WSU Libraries and Summit, which is just the default searching option in the Search It bar. And you're going to search using the book title and not the book chapter. So you'll be able to select the entry, which you can see I have a screenshot of, and you'll find it in the retrieval list where it says it's available at Holland and Terrell Libraries here. That's on the Pullman campus. So when you click on the title, so if we clicked on this, you'll be able to see the full record, and you can see that it's available at the Vancouver Library. So what do you do if you want to request a book? So if a book is not available in Vancouver, then you can request the book be sent to you. So again, you just want to make sure that you sign in to search it, and then you'll click this kind of red button, request physical item, and the book would be sent to the Vancouver Library, and it should get here within a few days, and you'll get an email when it arrives. So books can be pretty straightforward, but what about finding a journal article? So journal articles are likely to be the most frequent type of item that you'll find in reference lists. So again, you're going to want to look at the article citation. What is the name of the journal or periodical? So in this case, we need to know if WSU has a subscription to this specific journal. So again, we're going to go into Search It and click on the drop-down menu next to the search box, select WSU Vancouver, and enter in the title of the journal. Not the article title, but the title of the journal, which you can see is College and Research Library News. So here's just an example search. So we can see that WSU has an online subscription by the record, so you want to click this online access. I can't highlight it, but right up here where this arrow is pointing at, because you want to be sure that the subscription includes the Vancouver campus and that the date of our subscription cover the article that you're looking for. So these are all the different access options. They're all taking you to the same resource, but sometimes we subscribe to multiple different e-resource packages that include the same things. So sometimes there's overlap in what we have. So we have multiple ways to access the same items. And you can see that these are available to WSU All Campus. So you're going to click on the database link to find the article. So you'll be directed to a page where you can select the date of the item you want, and then you'll need to select the issue, and then you have the article. it's just like going to the shelf to find an article in a print journal, but it's easier and more accessible, and you can do it at home. You also have the option to search within the publication using the article title or the author's name. So it's important to know that each interface, each host looks different. So every publisher has a different interface. Like in this one, we're accessing the same article that we were looking for earlier, but it looks a little bit different. So you'll need to look around the page to find the past issue, which you can do right here. Sometimes it's on the right-hand side of the page, sometimes it's on the left-hand side, sometimes it's a menu. So don't let the little differences throw you for a loop. Explore these web pages. It's worth it to kind of become familiar with what you're looking at. So what do we do if we don't have a subscription? Well, remember that if we don't have electronic access to a specific journal article, we can always request it through interlibrary loan, Iliad, just like we did with a book chapter, which was that little red button. So you're going to encounter other types of sources. So you're likely to find dissertations, conference proceedings, interviews, and numerous other kinds of items cited in reference lists. Some of these may be available on the open internet through library databases or through Iliad, which again is that interlibrary loan. So others may be unavailable or very difficult to track down, and if you get stuck, ask for help for us at the library. And I think that's about all we have for week 9. You will have an assignment due on Sunday at 11:59 as usual, and the details and links will all be posted on Canvas. And with that, we'll see you all next week. Bye!